Hi, Lyndon here, and today I want to dive into something which is so important for sax playing. It's so important, but I've forgotten what it is. It's memorization. So memorizing tunes is really important in my opinion, and it comes up a lot in the lessons that I give to people here in Goldington in Bedford. By the way, mentioning Goldingtons, this is one of my beautiful Goldington saxophones. Sounds and looks absolutely beautiful. If you're interested in those, do give me a shout. So memorization, I'm going to be looking at in this video why bother to memorize, what the benefits are, who memorizes, and how. The how part is going to come in the last part of the video, so do watch to the end, because I'm going to give you a 4-stage process that absolutely 100% works, that you can apply to any song in order to memorize it and have that song just inside you so you can play it whenever you want. Before I dive into all of that, thank you to all of the people who have shown support by buying me a coffee, and if you'd like to support these videos, if you find them useful, then do consider clicking on the link below. It always makes me and my wife dance around the house with glee. So why memorize? Well, one of the main reasons is I think it just makes it flow. Anything that you play from the saxophone by heart flows easier and more naturally than it does if you're reading it from a sheet. There's nothing wrong with reading it from a sheet, whether it be manuscript or letter names, nothing wrong with that at all. But if you want it to really flow, it's got to come from the heart. And if you think about this, this is kind of, if you went to a play, if you and I went to a play together and all of the actors were walking about on stage reading their lines from a script, we would think that was pretty weird. We just kind of take it for granted that actors in a play are going to learn their lines. And in the same way, I think it would be really good for musicians to learn their music. I absolutely do. Perhaps if you're a violinist in an orchestra, then nobody's expecting you to read that. But if you're a saxophone player, it just really helps. It sounds effortless. It's less faff than reading from a paper. I mean, imagine if we were able to see John Coltrane, or imagine if you were able to meet John Coltrane. Obviously he's not with us anymore, but imagine if you did and you said, "Oh, Mr. Coltrane, sir, such a joy to see you. Could you possibly play something for us?" And he said, "Sure, what would you like to hear?" And you said, "What about my favourite things?" And he said, "Well, hang on a second, let me just get my paper." I mean, you would think, wow, you know, can't he just play it? So it's much more efficient than having loads and loads of paper. And if you were John Coltrane, can you imagine how many sheets you'd need to have? Hundreds and thousands of sheets. You'd need a whole vehicle with your sheets included. I think it looks a lot better than if you're just able to play the sax. Your friend comes around with their guitar and they say, "Wow, you've got a saxophone, can you play something?" It just looks so much better if you just pick it up and play. And also, memorizing really strengthens your mind muscle. So if you practice this, it's really good for mental exercise. Again, in my opinion, I'm not a neurologist, but I suspect that it's really good. I know that intuitively. So a lot of people also say to me, when you ask people what they want from the saxophone or what they want from playing the sax, they often just say, "I just want to pick up my sax and play it." And that what they're not saying is, "I just want to pick up my sax and then get my sheets and then get my music stand so I've got somewhere to put my sheets on, and then just remind myself." They're not saying that. They just want to be able to pick it up and play. So the why bother memorizing, the why, I think it's really strong. There's a lot of good reasons to memorize everything that you play on the saxophone, and as far as I can see, there's no downside. It's just a good thing. As long as you read from a sheet, that's what you'll do. Unless you take away that security blanket at some stage, that's what you will do. You will always need a sheet as long as you read from a sheet, because, and the phrase that I'm going to say to you now is something that I repeat a lot to myself and repeat a lot to the people that I work with. You get good at what you practice. It's so powerful, it's so simple and so powerful. But if you practice reading from a sheet, you'll be very good at reading from a sheet. If you practice sight reading, you'll get better at sight reading. If you practice improvisation, you'll make some ground on improvisation. And if you practice memorization, you'll get good at that too. So if you always execute the behaviour of reading a tune from a sheet. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but that's what you'll get good at. So if memorisation isn't something that you currently do, you need to start, because it's very powerful, it's no downside, and it's going to make your playing much, much better. So who memorises? Who bothers to memorise? Everybody, all the sax players that you love: John Coltrane, Charlie Parker, Paul Desmond. The list is endless. Ernie Watts, one of my favourites. Dave O'Higgins. All of these people, when you see them playing a melody, at least, they're not reading from a sheet. Sometimes they might read from a chord chart, but that, again, that's not really reading so much. But even then, most of these people will have learned the chord chart as well. So there's a lot to be said. All of the greats, and of course Miles Davis, even though he's not a saxophone player, but again, he would never have sheets up on stage. So all of the great players learn to memorise their tunes. So how? This is the important bit. How are we going to do it? First thing that we're going to do is set our intention. Get a clear intention of what it is that you're going to do. And what we're going to do is to learn to memorise. The second thing that I'd like you to think about is picking your opponent. So don't pick a tune which is really hard, that's going to take months and months and months to memorise. Pick a simple tune, and I've actually got a tune that we're going to work on here, which is a tune called Can't Help Falling in Love, the Elvis Presley version. And the reason that I've picked that tune is it's nice and straightforward and easy to execute. The third thing that you can really do that's going to help you memorise is to know the key that the piece of music that you're about to learn is in, and that's for several reasons. And this tune is in the key of B, and the notes would be B, C sharp, D sharp, E, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, and B. And then if you understand the structure, so have a look at the tune and see if you can see any structure at all. That's going to be massively useful. So in this tune, the first phrase is B, F sharp, B, C sharp, D sharp, E, D sharp, and C sharp. And it sounds like this. And what I'm looking for there is structure. So I know that this tune, the first part, the A section, starts on a B. And so it starts on the root, and it goes up to the fifth and comes back down to the root again. So that helps me understand the structure. After it's gone B, F sharp, B, it kind of goes up and down the scale. From the second note. So that's really, really useful. So now I've got a deeper understanding of the structure of the tune and how it's built. So, and then another thing that I want you to think about is divide and conquer. So don't try and learn the whole song, just learn the first line. And if that first line is too much for you, just try and learn the first three notes. That's absolutely fine. And if that's too much, divide it down further and just remember what note does it start on. So in this case, starts on the root, which is B. So here's the process which I'd like you to follow. Number one is to look at the phrase and play it. So I'm going to put the notes up on the screen now, and I'd like you to try this. You can pause the video and try this for yourself. So number one is to look and play those notes. So you're going to look at the notes and play them like this. Process number two, or part number two, is to look at the notes and play them again, but this time I want you to feel everything. I want you to switch your brain gear into feeling rather than thinking. So I want you to feel the weight of the saxophone in your hands and the pressure of the saxophone keys under your fingers, and take notice as to whether the metal is warm or cold. I just want you to feel, and most of all, feel the shape that your fingers have to make in order to execute this phrase. So the second part is play it and feel it. Look at the notes, but feel it. is to play it and look at the notes, but this time just have a soft focus. So the idea of this is to kind of wean you off. Have a soft focus. Don't look directly at the notes. Maybe just have the notes in your peripheral vision and play it again with the notes in front of you so that they're there and you don't feel anxious that they're not there anymore, that you've got to try and memorize it. But don't look directly at them. Just look at them outside your field of focus. So part 4 is to play those notes again, but this time don't look at the notes at all. And you might have the feeling, or what I'd encourage you to feel, is that you're not trying to play the phrase. It's more like you're just allowing it to be played. Your fingers know what to do. You need to trust in your fingers and just allow them to play that phrase. So this time you're going to play the phrase again, but look away from the notes. So how did that go? If you were able to play it, that's great. And what you need to do now is to repeat that again and again and again. Repeat that process lots and lots and lots of times so that your fingers just do it automatically and you don't have to think about it anymore. You can just feel it. If you weren't able to do it, then that's okay as well, because you can just come back and go through this process again. Play and look, play and feel, play with a soft focus, and then have another go at looking away and playing it at the same time. So that is the process, and you can do this with the second line of the tune, which I'm going to give you now as well. And this, if I go back to the part where we're looking at the structure, this is just running up the scale from F sharp. So can you see how that is just running up the scale? F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B, C sharp, D sharp, and then back down again. So you'd go through the same process for that phrase and then simply put these two phrases together and build it up like that. So that is how we go about memorizing any song, and you can apply this to anything. So I really hope that's useful for you, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video. If you have any comments or feedback, if there's anything that you'd like to see, do let me know, because I really take their comments very much on board. And thank you so much for your support once again. Take care, see you in the next video. Bye.